Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. Off after a week, and the fixtures have come out. I should go away more often. Fixture list is out. I'm sure you've all seen it. That's what we're here to talk about. And then a couple of rumours, players coming in and going out as well as we go through. Three great guests. First off, Marlon, part of the Hotspur Hood as well, but unbelievably, this is the first time I think we've ever been on a stream together. But thanks so much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, just recovered from COVID, so I'm just kind of getting back into the swing of streaming again.
Yeah. Hope you're feeling better. Brad, I mean, this has gone international now, all the way from Australia. How are you doing, Brad?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'd just like to make notes of my mum's picture in the background there, a nice little Australian scene. I think I might hold some sort of a record. I've appeared on your show, Chris, from London, Toronto, and now Adelaide. So I wonder if anyone else can beat that. I mean, obviously Brian's appeared on the show from London and Toronto, but three countries for sure.
North Pole next. Maybe a bit nippy. And Ian, how you doing, Ian?
Good afternoon, Chris. Yeah, I couldn't be better. Apart from the fact it's cold and wet here in Glasgow, but typical. I didn't come here for the weather, so
at least you and Brad in cold weather don't have to suffer with hay fever. Absolutely terrible.
This is true.
So let's crack on. So I'm sure you all saw the fixture list. Here it is. I'll be putting this on throughout the show, but I'm sure you've all seen it. But yeah. First things first, let's get the important stuff out of the way. We play Arsenal on the 1st of October away and the 14th of January at home, although they're subject to change. They're both 3 o'clock Saturdays, and Arsenal probably have an injury on both of those. They'll probably be moved to May. But Marlon, overall thoughts on the fixture list?
It's been quite kind to us, if I'm being completely honest. Apart from playing Chelsea, obviously, in the second game, which is going to see where we are. It's not horrendous. I've seen some of the others, and I look at I think Man United have got an awful October or something like that, where they play everyone in the top 6. I think they play us as well. But yeah, it's been pretty kind, and especially after Champions League games, I think we've lucked out a little bit. I think we've got to play City and Liverpool, but they will have Champions League games too. So actually, it's been really kind. I'd rather the Arsenal home game was swapped out and we had them in October 1st and then played them away, but I can't complain. Especially if you look at towards the end, if we are in any sort of race and anything coming like that, we've got a great little run in at the end. So yeah, I'm not complaining. First year in a while, and to have a home game as well on the first day of the season. I think it's the first time in a while.
Yeah. Give it to the third game, then the complaining can start.
Of course. We'll be complaining after Chelsea, knowing the fact that we lost to Chelsea how many times anyway. But it's us Spurs fans, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah. Audio Artisan in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Thanks so much for watching and the comment. Thanks to everybody for watching. And if you're listening on the podcast, listen as well. For those of you watching now, please get your comments in. Please hit the like and please hit the subscribe. Really helps. 239 at the moment. Hoping to get to the 250 before the season starts. There are a couple of YouTube channels on here as well from the guests. They're in the description, but we'll talk about that at the end and let you know how to find them and what you can expect of them. But Brad, thoughts on the fixture list? Same as Marlon or different?
Yeah, I agree with Marlon. I think, I don't think we can complain in any means. I mean, the August fixtures, you've got Chelsea away, but let's face it, I think we're probably catching up with Chelsea at the moment. And then the last May looks pretty good as well. It's actually quite funny that if you look at last season, it could have been pivotal when we lost those home games at home to Southampton, and then we followed that by losing at home to Wolves. And although in the end it didn't matter, but now they're our first 2 home games, so I found that quite interesting. And I think we've got Man City, as Marlon says, between a couple of Champions League games, but everyone will have Champions League games. Well, Arsenal won't, but yeah, we'll have those. But I think it's I can't complain. Cannot complain.
No. And Ian, full house on that respect.
Yeah, hard to do anything other than agree with the guys. Champions League is obviously going to put a lot more pressure than playing in the Eurovision Song Contest as we did last year. And it seemed like no one was taking that seriously. And even when we got put out of it by default, no one really complained that loudly. Maybe we could have gone on and won it. I mean, who won it? Roma in the end?
Yeah.
Mourinho's Roma. So maybe we could have gone on and won it. But when you look at it in context, getting the first team right, getting a challenge in for top four, getting top four was obviously the priority. And I think when you look now, everything that's happening appears to revolve around the kind of players we're targeting and bringing in are all about Champions League and all about challenging for the league. I've said on a number of streams that when we got Conte isn't the kind of manager that's going to be happy to try and qualify for the Europa League or get in the Champions League.
If we finish fourth again, he'll be furious, won't he? Because we haven't
absolutely, absolutely right. And I was listening to one of Bobby's streams yesterday, and I was in the chat. Everybody saying positions, and nobody was. We had first, second, thirds. No one was looking at us finishing fourth or below. And when we look at you look at our October. It's not as difficult as was it Marlon mentioned Manchester United's fixtures in October, and they are nightmarish. But we're going to have a proper squad to be able to rotate and bring in players without any loss of quality. So if you're looking at people like, Ben Davies, who was an absolute star towards the end of the season, maybe being a rotation player rather than an absolute first pick, then I think things are looking really strong. Just one other point with that is we got away with it a little bit at the end of last season in that we lost two fullbacks, and we lost Romero for the last couple of games, but we didn't lose any of the real core of the team. If you'd have think, Lloris had got injured, we'd have been in bother. If we'd have lost another centre half, maybe Rodon would have done a job, but he's had no practice. If Harry Kane had got injured, there was no backup. So the squad was really, really thin, and I think everything Conte is doing now is about strengthening in depth throughout.
I think based on what you just said there, I think that the not the first game that Emerson had to play, but certainly the first game Sanchez had to play was that North London derby, which scrap whether Arsenal were good or bad or whatever.
Yeah.
But the pressure on those players to perform in that and knowing that essentially if we didn't win that game, top four was done.
No, but
so in terms of the attitude and everything like that, they came through that with flying colours. So it fills me with good confidence that Conte can get a tune out of those players who we'd labelled as needed to go in January.
Yeah, absolutely. Funny enough, I was with Brad in the same pub next to the ground before the Arsenal game.
Oh,
and
yes.
when it was announced that Romero was out, not the football fans ever overreact. Oh, we're fucked. Sanchez is playing, Romero's out.
Well, I was texting my dad who was at the game, get to the shop now, buy a kit, get on the pitch.
One Arsenal was shocking, but secondly, Sanchez did, and in fact, in all of those last three games, Sanchez didn't put a foot wrong. And I think I've always said that, and I think I've read something Conte thinks this. I've obviously been watching him more than Conte has. That on his day, he's a really, really good player. He has problems where he just loses concentration, and for maybe 5-10 minutes, his head seems to be somewhere else. And that sort of, oh God, Sanchez, he's done another one of his episodes.
So
I think there's techniques, there's mindfulness techniques and things like that you can learn. He's still a really good player and really, really good backup. A really, really good backup if we do get injuries, if that he can be made to concentrate for that that 90 minutes or 95 minutes rather than the 75-80 that he seems to do too often.
Just to add to Ian's point there with Sanchez, he's one of them players that if he plays regularly, he makes mistakes. But if he's one of them that can come in. Say we needed him for 3-4 games, and he was told until Romero comes back. You come in and do a job. He can do a job. And that's the problem we're going to have a lot next season of actually someone like Ben Davies can't do that. We've seen it. Ben Davies can't come in from the cold and play games all of a sudden and turn it on. Ben Davies is one of them that needs consistently to be playing every week. And we saw the benefit of that. And Eric Dyer is probably another one. He can't just come in and out. And this is the problem we're going to have next season is actually some of the players who have improved under Conte are the players that are able to play every week. But someone like Sanchez, where he can play once or twice a week and actually come in, come out, come in, come out. He's very good at it. So we're going to have a major issue next year of actually who are we going to have as the first team players and who we're going to have as squad players. Because I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot at the end of last season of, we want this person to come out and this person to come out. But you've got to get to a point of, are they going to be very good squad players? And the likelihood is that most of them can't do it. And that's the biggest issue we're going to have. So we have to be very, very careful on what players we do want to be squad and what players we want to be first teamers. Because actually, if I'm going to pick Ben Davies or Eric Dyer out the two, I prefer Ben Davies. But if it came down to it, do I trust Ben Davies to then be a squad player? Probably not. And that's the only issue that we're going to have. So we can all sit. If Ben Davies is going to be in and out, we're not going to get the exact same performances.
The thing is, though, Marlon, is that if we've got Champions League football, I do believe it's 6. Is it 6 group games this time? Have they increased it?
It's still 6, I think.
Yeah. Plus the Carabao Cup games. Now we're going to potentially have a bigger squad because of our interest in the transfer market. So you might find that people like Ben, with rotation, these players will be playing once a week anyway.
Well, as long as we can get a cup run going, And this is the thing you're relying. But it's once you get to January. And once all them games are gone, it's then how then do you then go from January to May? January to May. I know we're gonna have a lot more games because of the World Cup anyway. But if we got knocked out the FA Cup, we ain't got a League Cup. And say we do make it through, you then have only got 2 competitions. Is that realistically going to work? And that's the thing that you're hoping for. If we can get a good cup run, then yes, we'll have a game every week. But if we don't, then you're then stuck with players that need to be playing. And that's the only thing that is my concern. That obviously with the likes of Basuma and all those coming in, like for me, if Højbjerg was to come in and out, he'd be absolutely fine. But will Ollie Skip be able to do that? Is another question. It's them sort of things that we have to kind of realistically ask ourselves. Is we might be thinking, oh my God, they'd be great as a squad player, but can they be? And that's
I think with Ollie Skip, that's a really good point with Ollie Skip. I think with Ollie Skip, with Basuma coming in, we've quite literally got 4 sort of central midfielders there, and that'll give us a chance for. I think someone like Ollie Skip should not be playing every game because he's still young. We forget how young he is. He's a very good player. I don't think we should be overplaying him. So
no, so and we've still got Pape Sarr coming as well. So we've got 5. So it's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens next season, and potentially we're all going to sit here and say we need an attacking midfielder like Eriksen. Even if it's not Eriksen, we still need someone of that ilk to come in.
We do.
So you're looking at 6 potentially that we could be having midfielders. So it will be interesting. It's going to be interesting, but
the 5 subs next year is
that's important.
Because
massive.
Because what that does, not only does it allow you to time waste, it allows you to go to plan B, C, whatever. So I think we need an Eriksen type player, even though historically Conte hasn't played, whether he's a number 10 now or because of his issues, he's going to have to drop a bit deeper. But I'd like us to get a number 10 anyway, because it then gives us a chance for plan B, which after 60 minutes, you can kind of make 3 subs, change how you play. And in terms of the defenders as well, if you're 1-0 up and need to, sit on a lead, one of those defenders, they could be playing every week, maybe not the full game, but I mean, Mark Swift has said in terms of Sanchez, like to see him go. And I have no idea what this means, Brad. Need to ask Brad his thoughts on Kate Bush's running up that hill going to number 1. I'm assuming that's some music thing that you've been talking
to that. I don't think I've taken any notice of the charts for about 20 years. So I was aware that the Kate Bush song had been re-released because of Stranger Things.
Yes.
I'm sure there have been worse number 1s. And also Kate Bush at number 1. I always remember Alan Partridge doing an impersonation of Kate Bush's running up that hill where he's doing the actions. on one of his Alan Partridge shows. So when I think of Kate Bush at number one, that's what I think of, Alan Partridge doing an impersonation. There have been far worse number ones, I'm sure, in the last 20 years. But fair play.
I'm a cloud busting all this women's work fan, so rather than running up that hill. But there you go.
In terms of the fixture list, Marlon, what I particularly like is this. That we play Chelsea, I've included West Ham because they were quite high and we don't historically do well there. City, United and Arsenal all away before November. So
I noticed this. Yeah, I noticed this.
So we've got Chelsea away, second game. Man City away, 10th of September. Arsenal, 1st of October, which will be moved to May because they'll have a cold in the squad. Man United, 19th of October as well. And West Ham at 30th of August. But I mean, last season, the way that we qualified for Champions League, it hits that cliche. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the last half after the World Cup, I think all we've got is Liverpool away. We play Liverpool at home just before in November before the World Cup break. But, if we're going to sort of like make a dash for hopefully title challenge, we've got all of those top teams at home. Which I expect us to beat everybody at home, just because you've got to have that positivity. Obviously, if we have all of those away from home towards the end, then it could be a bit of a struggle. But all of those, if we can get good results against those, stands us in hugely good stead for the rest of the season, I think.
And Conte's got a good rep of playing difficult teams away as well. He seems to set up really well against them.
But obviously. That's what I quite like. And you're looking for, I mean, you alluded to it earlier, Marlon, with a kind of no hugely difficult sequences. I haven't looked at Man United's fixture list, but from what you said, it sounds like they have, which we haven't. We've got all of those dotted out. We've got Arsenal, Man United in 1 month, Chelsea and West Ham in 1 month, but we've got other games in between those. But yeah, I mean, in terms of all of those teams away from home in the first half of the season, if you like, good, perfect. Bad, or
no, it's perfect in the scenario of. There's been times before where we've had a difficult second half of the season where we've had quite a lot of away games against big sides and we've struggled. So to have them get them all out of the way early, and actually, if Conte's philosophy is not completely, full on by then, at least when they've played them games, a lot of them will realise what Conte's about, especially with the players coming in. So it's always a case of like, I'm not going to sit here and go, we're going to go to Stamford Bridge and get a result. I'm not expecting it. I've never expected it from any other manager. So why am I going to expect it from Conte? But if he goes there and he went, I want to sit there and defend for 90 minutes. I'm not going to begrudge him. I don't, it doesn't matter what Chelsea team turn up against Spurs. They always come out and win. So to have all them games, especially for how our home record was this year against the top teams under Conte, you've got to be thankful, actually, if we're in any run, say it is for top four, if it is for the title race, to have all them games at home is going to be pivotal. Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially as we saw how the fans were for the Arsenal game and made it an absolute fortress. If we're in any kind of shape in those big games towards the end of the season of doing something special in that league, the fans are going to be bang up for that. And we saw how that affected not only Arsenal, but massive. Us as well in that game.
Absolutely massive. And that's that. And the home ground now is officially, like I've always said, since the Arsenal game is officially open. So you've got to have the crowd behind us. Like we can get a feel for the season at the beginning, get some of these games out of the way that we tend to struggle in part. In like, we struggled against Southampton, we struggled against Wolves at home. But actually, if we had all them big games at home, the players will get themselves up for it as well, because they'll be like, oh my God, we can't slack off now. And if we play anything like we did in some of them, like when we played Everton, like we did against Arsenal, we can still get up for it. So it will be very, very interesting to see how that second half of the season goes, especially depending on who wins the World Cup. If England win it, Harry Kane will definitely go in all out to try and get something towards the end of the season.
Yeah. And Ian, in terms of those teams away from home, we've had seasons in the past where we play the 3 in a row or something like that. I'm assuming from what Marlon was saying, that's what United have got at some point. Which, if you lose all 3 of those, can really derail your season. Certainly, if you're looking to do something special, losing 3 against the big boys who essentially you're competing with, but they're dotted around. So if we do lose a couple, we've got other games to put that right and get that off of our minds instantly. Whereas if you've got 3 in a row, you lose the first 2, it becomes a lot more pressurised. We have to win that last one. But what would you
Yeah.
make of those teams early doors away from?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more philosophical than the others. I take a view you have to play everybody home and away. So where you play them doesn't matter. And I mean, we ended up, although we were like 4 points behind Arsenal with a game in hand, and they had a game in hand, you look at the fixtures and say, this is where they might drop points. In fact, they got points at Chelsea. They got points at West Ham. West Ham's European Cup run obviously made... I'm going to have to come back. I've got someone at my door. So I will come back.
What Ian was going to say there is that, we looked at the fixtures and we expected, they're going to struggle against Chelsea, they're going to struggle against West Ham and Man United. And they won all those 3 games, and yet they went and lost to Newcastle. So yeah, I think that's
What do you make of those fixtures, the away from home against top teams, Brad? Are you with Marlon or with Ian? We have to play them anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference.
I see I know what Ian's saying. We do play every team twice during the season, but I think that we're playing Chelsea away. I think it's a really good fixture to have second up, because by that no team is like when we played Man City last season at the home game. You know, they hadn't got into their stride, and we beat them. And I think that's the same with Chelsea. And we're due a result at Chelsea. We're due a result at Arsenal. Man City will be difficult because they'll be really out. You know, we've done them so many times now that they'll be like really careful not to, to let it happen again. But I'd rather play them, get them out of the way, and as people have been saying, with the atmosphere that we had in the Arsenal game, we get the atmosphere at our home games, play these difficult games at home, and we can only hope. I mean, if we can have a season like the 2017 season where we won 17 at home and only drew 2 at home. We didn't lose at home. I'm not saying that we're going to do that again, but that sort of home record, then you're reliant on your away games. You can get some decent results in your away games, and we're playing West Ham, Chelsea, and Man City early on. If we can get some results there, then you set yourself up. That's why I think having the supposed there's no easy games, cliche number one, but having those games in August means that we can hopefully get off to a decent start, and then that breeds confidence, and you go on from there. I'm quite happy to play those away games early.
Yeah, and in terms of Chelsea, Marlon, it's a new Chelsea, new owner, and all of that business. They'll obviously want to spend money, but we've got the opportunity. Certainly now, we've got 3 players, although 2 because Fraser Forster won't be starting, but Perisic and Basumi you'd expect either will be or very close to be. They're going to be fully integrated into that squad by the time the season kicks off. Chelsea could be doing a Tottenham and buying all of their players late. I don't think they've signed anyone yet. We've obviously signed 3. There's all these reports that we're not done there by any stretch, and we're getting more and more and more. They're going to be fully integrated by the time that season starts. And away to Chelsea, fully integrated, new team against potentially a Chelsea team that's still finding their feet. No, it's just as me pulling.
No. Yeah, you're being. Do you know what? I remember. I think did we not play them at Wembley? One of the first couple of games into the season, they had a bad start, and then Alonso literally hit 2 goals and literally killed us.
Yeah,
it's Chelsea, and I look at it now. Even if so looking at the squad now and looking at Chelsea's squad now, I still think Chelsea would beat us. Chelsea are still better than us right now because we haven't really improved dramatically to go into Chelsea tomorrow to think that we can, this Chelsea team have had a year with Tuchel, and we played them in January, and I still think if we would have played Chelsea in May, we would have still struggled. It's just the way Conte's just struggling at the moment against Tuchel, and it's not like us as a club when we play Chelsea. Like, no matter what season, whenever we do, we just struggle. And it's Stamford Bridge. There is a reason why we've only won it once in the Premier League, and it's going to be their first home game, and for them, Chelsea, Spurs is the big game for them. That's their big home game where they're going to turn up, and there's going to have to be some major improvements for me to see over the next few weeks to think that we can go into that Chelsea game and win. Obviously, I think we can win any game, but Liverpool away, Chelsea away, Man United away are 3 write-offs for me. A draw is a positive result. And, when we drew against Liverpool towards the end of last season, I was shocked. But let's be honest, most people expected us to lose still against Liverpool. We still went to a crap Man United and lost, right? Considering we were the team on form. So for me, even if Chelsea lose Lukaku tomorrow, I don't think it's going to make a difference. They've still got apart from Rudiger, he's probably a big miss for them. It's like
Audio Artisan says here, they've got potentially an entirely new defence to bed in. Rudiger, I think they've got
Christensen's going.
Is he leaving as well?
He's leaving. Christensen's leaving as well.
So, I mean, regardless of how old they are, what they did last season, and what you think of them, Rudiger in particular was a huge player for them, and he was a leader in that team. Azpilicueta, I think, is the captain, isn't he? So another leader there.
I would be surprised.
They've got to replace those, and they can't just replace them with.
If Chelsea were, for me, this is how I'd see it. If Chelsea were to lose, not do very well at the beginning of the season, say they literally had a bad start, they'd still beat us in that bad start. It's just the way it is, and I can't be more positive than that, because it's just the way Chelsea. Like, what in the past can I see where Spurs have gone to Stamford Bridge and done well? Apart from
we'll have you on every stream, Marlon. Come that game, you'll have changed. It would have turned you to. We'll beat Chelsea. We'll beat Chelsea.
No, you know what? For me,
we'll turn that frown upside down, Marlon.
If we got a Bostonian or some of the defenders we're being linked with, because for me, we're still at the same back three. Romero can only make a slight bit of difference to our back three. If we go there with Dyer, Davis, and Romero, I don't think we're going to win. I personally don't. I think Chelsea will play a certain way. And at the end of the day, if Royale's gone as well, we're going to have to try and bed in a new right wing back. It looks like we're going to have to bed in a new left wing back as well. So we've got our own issues at the back. And considering Kane generally never plays well against Chelsea, Son, it's here and thereabouts. We don't have a great record at Stamford Bridge. So for me, if we went there and got a draw, I'd be happy. I was happy when Mourinho got a draw there. I thought it was the best 0-0 we could have got. And considering Roden did try and mess it up for us as well in that game. But I can't be as confident yet. I love the sign. Like, signings have been great. Like, if Foster was in goal, I wouldn't be too begrudged about it. It would be literally, it wouldn't be a bad one. But Perisic, let's be honest, has got to get used to the Premier League. Right, we know.
But he'll be very wily, and he's a winner. So there'll be things that he does.
He's still got to settle, and that's the thing. Perisic has still got to settle, and I think we're all expecting Perisic to come in and do a Bentancur and Kulu, but Kulu had to settle. Kulu didn't have the best start. Let's be honest. He kind of settled in quicker than most European players do. But Bentancur, we've got to hope Perisic comes in and does a Bentancur and does settle. Otherwise, again, we are looking at a few games that the Premier League's not easy. And I think that's the biggest issue that we've got to kind of get into our heads, is that, are these players going to settle? Will they, and Perisic's his age is a big factor, and this is a fast league. And I get what everyone's saying, but it might take Perisic 5 or 6 games just to get the hang of it. And that's the bit we need to worry about. And Chelsea's number 2 on the list. So it'll be very interesting to see where he gets into. But positive. It's positive. But whether we'll beat Chelsea or not, I'm not that positive. Like I said, 3 games I am looking at it going, we're guaranteed to lose. Chelsea away, United away, and Liverpool away. Anything better better than that is a great result.
I'm not sure. That Liverpool game, I think, will give a hell of a lot of belief to those players that if we can go away to Liverpool, who are fighting for a league, so there's no taking it easy because we've got a big Champions League game. They're fighting for that league. Their top team, the best team that he could have put out. We should have won that game. But I think Basuma, Brad, is huge for us, because one of our big issues last year, I think, was in that midfield, not keeping the ball. And away from home, when you're going to be constantly under pressure, you need to be able to keep that ball. And Everton, Dembele in the 16, 17 season, when we conceded a goal or a chance, they got hold of the ball for 5 minutes, all the momentum quashed, and then we go again. I think Basuma has shown he's a midfielder who can pretty much do anything. I think he can break things up. He can keep hold of the ball. He can dictate a pace of a game. He can drive forward. He can spot a pass, and he can score goals. I think as long as the allegations are false, I mean, we've spent that money. If the allegations are true, he deserves to go to prison, and then we're just idiots for spending that money. But if they're false, then we've got an unbelievable player there. I think used to the Premier League, used to the pace of the Premier League, like Marlon was saying with Perisic, and he can do everything. And I think him keeping hold of the ball, he does that for. He was doing that for Brighton for donkey's years. It's worth saying he hasn't held the shirt up yet, but it's looking likely that he will be.
Yeah, but Tottenham officials always the last place that you go to see new signings anyway. But as far as the allegation,
as well, Mark Swift has said about Perisic, think he's too old. Perisic, 33 in the Premier League, too old for me. What I would say, I know it's a different position. Ronaldo, slightly different, and some of it, as Pelaqueta, although he is used to the Premier League, so I get that. But I don't think Conte would be signing these players if he didn't think they could hack it in the Premier League.
And that's what I would say about. Look, this is only my speculation or my. Is that we want players that are not only are they good players, but they are mentally ready, they're good for the team, and all this sort of stuff. And I would like to think that they've done their homework on Basuma regarding the court case. I mean, that's just me.
Levy ain't spending 25 for my money. Yeah. Levy ain't spending 25p if there's a chance that he's going to lose that money without him being able to play.
But as far as the player, I mean, I've heard him described as Kante like. So if he's anything like Kante, well, then we got a good player there, and that's the sort of, as you say, the ball holding player is what you need. And let's face it, he's taken us apart a couple of times. So whenever a player takes you apart,
he stopped
Kane
up.
That's what I say.
He stopped Kane doing anything. So he sacrificed his being going forward and picking off passes for the team, stopping the danger man on the other team playing, and then they got a result from it. So I think he can do absolutely anything for Basuma.
You know what? How you can gauge a player is what the other fans say when you sign him. And I just bumped into a guy doing some charity work in a place called Gawler, where I'm more or less staying. And we started talking. He said, "Oh, you're from England?" I said, "Yeah." And we started talking about football. And he said, "Oh, you got Basuma? Oh, what a player!" And he was a Liverpool fan. He said, "Oh, I've been going on all the Man United websites and that. They're all in bits that they did because they wanted him, and they're really angry that they didn't sign him, sort of thing." So I think you can gauge a player's ability on that as a sort of a outside the box type thing. But I think it's a very good signing, and it, like most Tottenham signings, it came out of the blue. Linked with all these other players, and suddenly we're signing Basuma. So that's a good signing. As you say, hasn't held up the shirt yet, and I tend to think that probably might be till next week. But it looks like it's been done and dusted.
All the reports are that he's passed his medical, and it's just a question of when, not if. But as long as those allegations are false. Like I say, if they're true, he deserves to go to prison, and we deserve to lose money because we're stupid by not doing our due diligence. And you can't have someone who's guilty of those things getting away with it just because he's got money. So if they are true, we're idiots for spending that money, and he deserves to go to prison, and we deserve to lose that money. But if they're false, we've got an unbelievable player there, and for very cheap on the level of quality that he has. Yeah, 35 million, I think it goes up to on performances and performance-related stuff, which even if it goes up to that, 35 million for Basuma, 25-year-old, unbelievable value. But based on Ian, the fixtures, the first 5 games, I'll read them out. We've discussed a couple.
Yeah, I had them up before.
Southampton home, Chelsea away, Wolves home, Forest away, West Ham away. Possibly 2 away games there, which... But the home games, you'd expect to win those. And Forest.
Sorry, Chris, I need to log out again. I'm sorry. I'll mute myself this time.
Oh, okay. I'll come to you then, Marlon. Ian dodging the question. Those first 5 games, bar with the Chelsea one, I've got the feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, that you may not think we'll get a win there. But the home games especially, we should be winning. And Forest, by then you'd hope that their bubble has kind of burst in terms of they've won their first couple of games. You don't want a newly promoted team, certainly one who have just come in after such a long hiatus. First, Arsenal found that with Brentford last year. 4th game in, I think we'll be all right there. But what do you make of the first 5?
Yeah, so Southampton, like if you look at their last couple of seasons, always start badly. So actually getting the first game and out of the way, considering what they did to us in, was it March, February last year? Yeah. This year, sorry. You kind of go, great fixture. Chelsea fixture, obviously, that's just a no-go. But to have Wolves again, because we had them this obviously away from home this time, so it's a great fixture to have. It depends on how they start, but if it's the new Conte Spurs, I should expect us to go and get 3 points. Have Forest in the second game, their second Premier League game, hopefully is depending on how their first game goes, you're hoping that actually a decent Premier League team turning up actually will show them where they're at as well, and actually us being the first one, and hopefully with Kane, Son, I think it could be one of those where a reality check hopefully comes into play. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm not counting, and it should, especially after the Chelsea result, I'm expecting everything to go smoothly after that. And the West Ham game probably comes at the right time for us, more than them. West Ham are not the greatest starters either. They tend to slowly get their rhythm going, but for them, it's that as they say to us, it's their cup final. So it's going to be the one where they're going to be completely up for it. But it's a good time to play them for us, hopefully. And depending on how their fixtures are running as well, it could be a great time for us, especially if we get a good result against Forest, to play them. So if we haven't lost by then, if we came out and went we haven't lost by then, I'd be perfectly happy. But I'm probably expecting 2 draws to be in that if it is. And I personally think, I reckon I won't be surprised if we got a draw against Chelsea. I reckon we'll draw to Forest and probably beat West Ham, if it's going to be in that order. But the first 2 home games, brilliant. Absolutely couldn't ask for 2 better home games.
What do you think, Ian? First 5 games?
Yeah. So I've got a plumber here, and he's a bit early, but which is great because I need him in. But when he got a question, I need to answer. I mean, let's not get silly about we'll get 15 points from our first 5 games. But I think West Ham overachieved last year, and I think it might be difficult for them to maintain that if they don't bring in some new players. Chelsea. Someone said, I think Audio Artisan commented in the chat, Chelsea have a completely new defence to bed in. That's not going to be easy. Now, one of the things, if there was one thing that annoyed me about Conte last year, is he seemed to have this inferiority complex with Chelsea. He didn't have it with Liverpool. He didn't have it with Arsenal, but he had it with Chelsea. I don't expect us to be going to Stamford Bridge with any sort of fear at all. Yeah, of course, it'll be a hard game, but it's a game I would expect us to be trying to get something rather than being resigned to getting beat. West Ham's there. Forest will be a decent side. I think they're not bad. Southampton, but I'm looking at the kind of squad, and I think we're a long way from finished, as alluding to earlier, with the Conte's putting together. We shouldn't be fearing anybody. No. Absolutely.
I think if we can go away to Liverpool, I think I said it earlier, that draw against Liverpool should have won. I think that to the players tells them we can beat anybody here. This is a Liverpool fighting for the title, not taking it easy to go for Champions League in the next game. So, I mean, Brad, first 5.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm basing this on the fact that when Conte took over, when he took over, we were the 3rd best team in the league last season. The fact that we're going to add to our squad, the fact that there's not many other teams apart from Liverpool and Man City that are above us. Chelsea are changing their team because of what's happened financially with them, so they're going to be changing. So based on all of that, I would expect us to have a really good chance of getting top 3 this season. Probably more realistically 3rd, but then you never know if Man City or Liverpool have a bad season, as can happen. Then maybe 2nd. I'm not expecting Tottenham to win the league.
Do you think we could have as good a season as them? The late 80s, 90 points, or do you think that's a bit too much for us?
I would, at the moment, realistically say that I think we're well capable of 3rd this season. And on that, I would say that you have to win your home games. You have to be confident you're going to win all of your home games. I'm not saying we are going to win all of our home games. We probably won't. So look at these fixtures. The first 2 home games, we should be looking at winning those. I agree with what Marlon says about Nottingham Forest away. They've just started in the Premiership, although one of the promoted teams always starts well over the last few years. Look at Brentford last season. But I would expect us to go and win that. And Chelsea away, West Ham away, I would say probably a minimum there of a point in each. So, it's 3, 9, Yeah, so that's 11 points out of 15 in our first 5 games, and I think that's a reasonably solid start. You know, I don't think I wouldn't be complaining about that if we got that. And then you set yourself up for the rest of the season. But I think we really, and I'm presuming that we are going to be signing some more players before. That's the other thing I'm going to add is that this is a team that's going to have Conte's going to have a total pre-season with them, with hopefully the whole squad. And we're not going to be buying players on the last day of the window like we normally do and then have to bed them in. I'm hoping that we'll have the majority of our squad ready before pre-season or during pre-season training and then go into career. So when they come back ready for a premiership, they're ready to go. So yeah, I'd look at those fixtures and I wouldn't be too disappointed with 11 out of 15 there. I think that'd be a nice solid start. Obviously,
11 was the figure I had in mind. Funny, but listening to you guys when I was 11's the figure I've got in mind. But just a piece of total self-indulgence, Chris. I was at Nottingham Forest in 1978 when we went there. They were the champions, and we went there having just signed our Diaz and Villa. That was, and it was. I tell you what, it was 90 degrees that day as well. It was an absolutely wonderful day out. Tremendous.
Marlon, what about the last 4? We'll go in May. Palace home, Villa away, Brentford home, Leeds away. So if you're fighting for stuff there, you can't really ask.
Well, this is why I said this is why I said it's been kind.
Obviously, we don't know the situation of all the other teams, but on paper, you couldn't really ask.
No, and the only difficult one out of all of them that I'd say, and it depends on how their season goes, is probably Villa away because we just don't know what Gerrard's going to be doing next season. But that's what I was talking about earlier, how kind that last set of fixtures have been to us completely. So you've got to look at it and go, if we are going into the last 4 games again and we're needing something, that's probably the kindest thing that's probably happened. Like, we do well at Villa Park. Brentford at home, Brentford are not the best travellers, and there's going to be no Eriksen next year, which is probably a big miss for them because they started to falter in January, and if it wasn't for Eriksen coming in, I've got a strange feeling Brentford would have gone down. So and a lot of people go, Brentford were good towards the end, but I think Eriksen was a big part of that, and you can't replacing Eriksen for them is going to be difficult. It's going to take 2 or 3 good players, not 1. So and Leeds United, well, it depends on how Jesse Marsh does, but he ain't gonna turn down trees with Leeds this season. So it's another great fixture to have. But looking at it, we can't complain. And as Aris said there, Burnley, the fact that we don't have to play Burnley, I'm over the moon. Absolutely over the moon. I know we have a good record against them, but oh my god, I hated playing them. Just hated playing them. So. But the fixture list has been really kind. The only thing that worries me, and this is the only thing, because we're all looking at it. I know we finished 4th, but we haven't looked at the teams behind us and what United and Arsenal and possibly West Ham, if they have good transfer windows, let's be honest, Arsenal only finished 2 points behind us, and then we weren't greatly in front of them. And Basuma's probably a great signing. But if Arsenal go and have a great transfer window as well, I know we all badger them about Arteta and stuff, but they're going to have periods that they're going to do well in. And actually, they could be, if we're still fighting for 4th, we're not that many great players in front of them to be going that we're going to finish completely 10 or 11. So we've got to be careful on what's going on behind us. Yeah, we've got to look ahead of us and be looking at Chelsea. But are we going to catch Liverpool and City this season? I'm not entirely sure, even with the signings we're making. So it's just let's keep level-headed and make sure that we're making sure the teams behind us can't catch us. We've got to be aiming to be finishing 10 or 11 points in front of them this season. So, let's just not get too carried away. That is all I'm saying.
I think we're more stable than any of the teams behind us because Man United is going to have a new manager. Arsenal are Arsenal. West Ham are West Ham. And Chelsea, as someone said, are probably going to have a new back line.
But if you give Arsenal a striker, let's say Arsenal go out and actually say they win,
they're heavily rumoured at the moment for Jesus from City.
Yeah, say they went out and got Martinez as well. Say they went and got Jesus and Martinez, right? Just for talking purposes. I know Martinez might not end up there, and I'm just talking. actually Arsenal do have a decent side. They've got Saliba to come back. Gabriel is not a bad defender. Yet Ben White is Ben White. We won't talk about him. But actually, Arsenal's team is not as bad as we're all making out to be. Yet they lost Thomas Partey as well. Like Thomas Partey is up there. He's actually a great midfielder. So we have to be careful. And actually, Arsenal's 11 is actually not that bad. They need a striker.
I do think away from home, though, they're going to drop a lot of points. You saw how they were with us, saw with Newcastle,
but they
big atmospheres.
Yeah.
If Forest, will have a big atmosphere because of.
They were missing key players, and this is if they're missing key players, they are going to struggle. And this is Arsenal all over. As a starting 11, Arsenal, let's be honest, when they had their starting 11, I know they're going to have Europa League games thrown into that as well. They were still decent. They still managed to be 2 points behind us. They finished in the end.
Yeah.
And this is a terrible Arsenal team. So if they made some quality signings as well, would they still be behind us? Probably, because let's be honest, Aubameyang weren't great, and what's his name? Lacazette wasn't scoring, but yet this team still finished how many points behind us? And we had
the other side of the coin to that, though, is I think mid-March they were, 6 points ahead of us.
Plus the game in hand, plus about 9 goals.
But this is what I'm saying. But decent signings, you don't know. Yeah. Like we're all getting excited about us, but if they were to make 2 or 3 good signings as well, it could still happen.
I think it's a lot more than just a few signings. I think their mentality there is completely dropped, and we get bashed with a stick. Spurs fans, Spursy, bottle it. They completely bottled that because they should have got 4th there. They should have had 4th wrapped up pretty much before we even played them in that third last game. So and then Newcastle, we beat them. They go away to Newcastle, have to get something there. Awful they were, Newcastle deserve it. I think their mentality is
make sure Newcastle as well.
So unless they get 3 absolute winners in who can literally take all of those other players by the scruff of the neck. I mean, Saka, I think, is a good player. I think Saka's
I'm
really
the opposite to you. I'm not a key fan of Saka.
I think their mentality is the big issue there, and they haven't got a leader in Arteta there like we have with Conte, who will not tolerate failure. Conte. We'll lose games, but he will not be happy about it, and he won't be shy in letting them know how it is. Whereas everything coming out of Arsenal, finished 5th after balls in 4th up. Well, we've had a better season. No, you haven't. You fucked it up. You haven't had a good season. You're just saying that to try and get away with it. If that was Conte, we were in that position and got 5th, there'd be no excuses there. Furious he would be, because that's what winners do. They don't tolerate failure like that. So I think their mentality is a big issue, Arsenal. Sorry, Ian.
I was just going to add to that. I think it's not Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. That's a song. Arsenal get bullied everywhere they go. You look at some of the games, that first game of the season against Brentford.
You could tell that was going to happen. If they didn't turn up, Brentford would be bang up for it. The fans would be as well. The players would be as well. And you could tell that would happen.
Crystal Palace away, got bullied out the game. Tottenham away, got bullied out the game. Newcastle away, got bullied out the game. You're absolutely spot on, Chris. That's a mental thing, and that doesn't change easily. Although the word on the street is they are getting Gabriel Jesus, and I think he's a really good player. I would have liked to have had him. Because I think he would
something to both what you were saying. You're talking about mentality, but Spurs have still got a mentality to jump over hoops through as well. So we're in the same boat as Arsenal. We can sit there and say Conte's done this, but you got to remember we had a chance when we played Southampton and the Wolves, and we were at a point where we were winning, losing. Our mentality hasn't changed yet. Yeah, we're signing better players, but we've got to. It's the same stick that you're throwing at Arsenal with mentality. And you've not got to throw it at Spurs as well. And to say the mentality's not changed yet, like you can't sit there and go, they haven't got the mentality. When we technically don't have the mentality, we're just lucky that the team that we were fighting against just had a weaker mentality than we did. Because there was games this season that under Conte, let's forget about the Nuno stuff. There's games under Conte this season where our mentality was poor. Like the fact that we at home to Brighton, we should be winning them games, and there's no way Conte set up to think. Brentford away, we should never have allowed Brentford to dictate that first half like we did. And this is the only thing. So whatever the stick that we're throwing at Arsenal, should it not be thrown at Spurs as well? That's my only question.
Yeah, it's not done and dusted yet, but the fact that when it mattered, we got those wins done with Arsenal. Is that any cause for kind of optimism that the tide could be turning for Spurs? was it still too early to say for you, Marlon?
You know what I think about the Arsenal game is that we seem to win it routinely. It was like a routine win.
Yes,
It wasn't we wouldn't play them up. They sort of that was a routine win, and that impressed me. That's you want your team to be up the top by having routine wins. You don't want your team to be up the top by playing out their skins every single game, because that's not going to happen for a whole season. You want to be able to play averagely and win your games. So I thought that to me that was very telling that we won that game, especially when you watch it again. I mean, obviously at the time you're all up there and intense and that, but when you actually watch the replay of the game back, you think, well, actually we won that really comfortably. I
think that's where they crumbled, and Audio Artisan says, I think Ramsdale's going to crumble after that England game, just like Robinson. Not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. Renegade Sound, how you doing, buddy? Any clarification on the Moore situation you could offer? We'll be talking about players coming in and out later on. I don't actually know anything about that. Wonderful host me. I do all my research. But yeah, in terms of the formation, the fixtures, start with you, Ian. Ignore the easy on paper, but difficult. Look at end of April, Man United and Liverpool. Man United at home, Liverpool away just before the end. But I couldn't see anything that was like, oh, that's a tough month.
I think that's where we're getting to as a club, Chris, that we don't look at games. Although I gather the Premier League are now making it compulsory for Conte to let Jurgen Klopp know exactly what tactics.
Marlon just shouted out there, February would be the one that you'd look at, but Man City, West Ham, Chelsea, all at home. So if that was the other way round, away from home, that's a terrible one.
And yet our record against City is absolutely incredible. For when you think they've been the best league side, well, certainly for over the last 5-6 years, they have been the best side in the league. And yet we've beaten them time and time again. They haven't even scored at the new stadium. I think I'm right in saying that, let alone one.
That's correct.
So, no, I'm not looking. I'm really optimistic. I'm older than Brad. I'm certainly a lot older than you two. The optimism I have going into this season is probably as great as any season that we've got into in terms of what we can do as a club, in terms of maybe winning more than one cup and being up there. Yeah, top 3 is realistic, but I wouldn't rule out us making a proper title challenge. And this isn't, we're not getting to the end of August and thinking, oh, who can we bring in, who's available? I'm looking in the next 2 or 3 weeks that we would have brought in another 2, 3, 4 decent players. And then you look and say, who's stronger than us? Who is stronger than us? I mean, Liverpool have won the same number of Premier League titles as Leicester and Blackburn. I mean, that's the reality. They haven't won the title. They've only won it once. Yes, City, but at a point do they get to a point where it becomes too routine that you just cannot keep it up? Although I hate to say it, I think Haaland's a wonderful, wonderful signing.
Well, he's straight in my fantasy football team. People will be against me, but you've got a spoiler on my team there. I don't mind telling you.
Do you know what? It's funny enough you mentioned Haaland, because apparently the Manchester City board had to convince Pep to sign him because his style of play actually doesn't suit Pep. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that's all going to work out over this next season, because the way Haaland plays is not very Man City-like. So it'd be very interesting to see if Pep has to adjust the way City play, because now they're going to, let's be honest, they're going to have a number 9 for the first time since Aguero was fit.
Let me put a question to you three. If they'd have gone and made a proper effort to get Harry Kane, do you think they might have been the team that was going for the quadruple last season?
Possibly. I mean, Kane can drop in, can't he? So he's not. He was a typical number 9. He's possibly not now. He's a bit messy, like, isn't he? That he can go drift in and stay up top. But yeah,
personally, the treble I would have gone for.
Yeah, I mean, when we played them, at home, they were putting crosses in for number 9 who just wasn't there. So Kane would have obviously help that situation.
Well,
but
you could be onto something there, Ian, because let's face it, Man City won the title, but for some ridiculous performing in the last few minutes of the game against Real Madrid, they should really have been playing in the Champions League final. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you look at
I
that
don't
Real
know,
Madrid game, and you
yeah.
have to say if they had a proper number 9 and striker that game was dead and buried. They should, the difference was Benzema, and that's a proper number 9 there as well. So you can sit there and go,
I saw a bit of a side, a great cartoon after that game, which showed the whiteboards at half time, and the Man City whiteboards have all these sort of arrows going all around the pitch, and the Real Madrid whiteboard had long ball, Benzema, goal. That was it, sort of thing. So.
Yeah. I mean, there were times I watched Manchester City last season, and I just thought, you are so desperate for a proper number 9 when they were making, getting round the back and what have you. But there was no proper an old-fashioned centre forward. Sometimes I know Kane's got a lot more to his game than that. But when you look at the goal, the winning goal he scored from Kulusevski's cross, that was an old-fashioned centre-forward goal. And if they'd have had him in there, I just think, I think they'd have done a lot better. And I think from a City point of view, when you look at their muscle, their resources, they absolutely dropped a bollock, not going in and saying we'll pay 150, 170 million.
I just need to cut in. Sorry, Marlon, I know you've got to go. Thanks so much for coming on. And just you've got 2 channels essentially: Hotspur Hood, which I'm on as well, Tommy's channel, and South View, a view from the South Stand as well. So give a shout out to both of those. And
so View from the South Stand obviously won't start now till next season. Since the match reactions, you can also find it on the Hotspur Hood. But if there's anyone who's watching this, if you could check out the Let's Trip Down White Hart Lane I did the other day, it's a very, very good piece that I did. And hopefully what I'm going to try and do is get more and more guests to come on and give me their 1 to 11. So it'll be very, very interesting if you can watch that. But as always, please like and subscribe Chris's channel, Let's Talk Tottenham. And obviously you can find him on Hotspur Hood on the Monday with us lot as well. So, but yeah, cheers, Chris. Cheers, guys.
Thanks so much for coming.
Cheers, Marlon.
Take it easy. Thanks so much to Marlon for coming on. But yeah, sorry, Ian.
No, you're good.
I seem to be cutting off. It's nothing personal, I promise.
No, we're fine. We're absolutely fine. I tell you, any cricket fans here? Because England are 400 for 2 in 43.5 overs.
Against the Netherlands, isn't it?
It's against the Netherlands. Butler's 137 off 58 balls. Milan, he's positively pedestrian, 121 off 107. But I just saw on my Facebook because of Nick's on it, and I don't know if you are, Brad. I know you're not.
Yeah, he's there, isn't he?
They're there. Yeah, I don't know who's gone.
They?
Brian's gone, I think, has he? But certainly Nick's in the Netherlands, I think. I don't know. Has it been played in Amsterdam or?
I don't know.
I think so. That's where he's gone, isn't he, Nick? So I think it is in Amsterdam. Yeah. Certainly.
I'd imagine in Amsterdam the pitch will be quite a small one. So
yeah. Well, Butler's hit it out the ground a few times. So, but anyway, they got 6 overs and a ball. We'll see what they can get. I wondered at one point they might get 500, but I think 470
could be a record. Certainly on for a record, surely.
Yeah. But Butler just, the ball sits there. Blank 6, 1, 2, 6, and here he goes. But anyway, we're here to talk about football, not my cricket commentary.
In terms of City as well, Audio Artisan said City of Alvarez coming in as well, talented striker too. So they're obviously not making waves, that's the wrong word, making positive, proactive decisions in the transfer market. So Liverpool with the Carvalho, I think, from Fulham. But yeah, sorry, Ian.
Yeah, no. I think City, Liverpool appear, they with Mane and perhaps up front they've not been quite as strong as they would like to be. The players that they brought in, I think Diaz will have a better season. And is it Nunes, the guy from Benfica? I've only seen him a little bit, but what I hear about him, he's a great player.
What they're doing, Liverpool, there is, and they did it with Diaz. They're preparing for the Manes and the Salahs to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't gone yet, and then they go, oh shit, we've got to replace them like for like. They're doing it so they can bed them in. Very similar to what we did with Friedel and Lloris. Friedel was on his way out. We get Lloris in. So when Friedel does retire, Lloris has already replaced him, and he doesn't have to bed in because he's already bedded in number one. So it's very clever what Liverpool are doing. And that's what
they're well managed. They're a well run club, aren't they?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. They are an absolute model for how a football club should run.
And I don't think Tottenham have been run very well over the last few years. And now we seem to be acting like a big club and getting players in early and doing that sort of stuff. I tend to think that Conte's probably got Levy by the balls.
That's what we need, isn't it?
Exactly.
And the evidence at the moment would suggest that's true. Whether that is true or remains to be seen is something we just have to play it by ear and watch it by ear. But at the moment, it looks like he's getting the players and he wants when he wants, which is before pre-season.
If I play the devil's advocate bit, Levy's view was always, I can't compete with clubs that have got 50, 60,000 people coming in when I've got a 36,000 stadium. If you want to be up there spending that kind of money, we've got to have a stadium that brings in the levels of income. And all right, I know our ticket prices were right up at the top, but I need 60,000 people coming in spending that kind of money to really compete. And in fairness, COVID came at could not have come at a worse time. But we're now into our second full season. The board have said we're going to put in 150 million. Okay, it's not free money. They'll take equity for it. But they're putting in 150 million. I'm assuming that Conte will have the money from sales. And without that 150 million, surely there'd have been somewhere between 50 and 80 million to spend.
For me, it's not about the money. It's about listening to the manager. There's reports, isn't there, that Pochettino said he wanted Wijnaldum. We went and got Sissoko. They'd have been about the same price. He wanted Mane when he was at Southampton, which I think Liverpool paid 30 million. We spent about half of that.
Yeah, I wanted Mane when he was at Southampton.
So I've never had a problem with people saying, "Oh, Levy doesn't spend money." He does. I disagree with that completely. He does spend money. What he doesn't do is spend it on the players that the manager wants. Yeah. He spends it on the players that he wants, which is his big issue that I have with him. Whereas now with Conte, it looks like he's spending the money that the manager wants, which is what
I get the impression. I get the impression that, and I could be wrong, I get the impression that he's doing what he should have done in the last 20 years, and that's give the manager and the director of football, whoever, a budget and then butt out.
Yeah.
Let them do the football side of so there's your money. That's the pot of money you got, plus player sales. You do, you get the players you want, and I'm gonna have nothing to do.
You know what, Brad? I think you're so right. Every transfer window, you hear Levy this, Levy that, Levy. I haven't heard Levy's name mentioned in respect of any transfer negotiation at all, and it seems to me that's exactly what he's done. That he's said, I'm employing, there's the old expression about don't buy a dog, and bark yourself. His dog in that context is Paratici. And Paratici is the dog that's doing the barking, and he's the man. I think there was some sort of thinly veiled criticism, for example, over the signing of Brian Gill, that Conte had made, that, you need to not just look at good players, you need to look at players that can play in the Premier League. Because I suspect we won't see Brian Gill in a Tottenham shirt because I don't think he's physically strong enough.
Sadly, because I thought he showed some ability, but I agree. He didn't, he certainly needs to put a bit of weight on. But I think, you're right. And I still need a few transfer windows to be totally convinced that we've turned around, but it certainly looks promising at the moment. And we're not hearing, Spurs haven't signed Bruno Fernandes because they fall £5 million short of their valuation, that sort of thing. And Paratici is gone down on record in an interview saying that sometimes you have to pay over the odds if you really want the player. So I can only hope that's what's going on.
You only have to look at Basuma, don't you? Last year, was it last year or January? I can't remember. Adama Traore went on for God knows how long. Within this summer, it's been less than a week since we're interested in Basuma, and now all of a sudden he's holding the medical, and we're waiting for him to hold the shirt up.
Yeah.
So there's no pissing around this time and wasting months and months and months.
I don't know if anyone saw the latest Ali Gold thing, and my mum, I was watching it here, and my mum says, "Oh, he does talk for a lot, doesn't he? He talks a long time, doesn't he?" Sort of thing. But in his little thing, which I always find very, very good, he said that Conte will have the final say on the players, and I think the example he gave was that Paratici was very interested in Winston McKennie, and Conte was more for Basuma, and we got Basuma. So, you know, if that's true, then again, you want them to obviously get together and work out, but at the end of the day, it's got to be Conte that has the final say on the players, because he knows how these players will settle into it.
As well.
Conte would not have signed Brian Gill. I think that's the point.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Moving back to the fixtures, obviously, it's very unprecedented this season. We'll come on to the players after this. Very unprecedented this season because we've got a World Cup smack bang in the middle of the season. So I think FIFA will get sued by clubs in the same way that Sheffield United tried to sue the Premier League and West Ham when Mascherano and Tevez came in, because you're going to have clubs who are going to miss out on promotion, going to get relegated, miss out on European football titles, cup finals, because one of their players will either get burnt out in the World Cup or come back injured. And it obviously helps us as well if that's the case, that we've got all of the top teams, barring Liverpool, at home after this World Cup. We've got all the away games out of the way. But what do you make of, I'll come to you, Brad, what do you make of the World Cup and how that's going to affect the season?
Well, I mean,
we don't have to talk about the World Cup. We all know how the
it shouldn't be happening anyway. But
in terms of the disruption, what it means for clubs as well, but primarily what it means for
I have no doubt that Tottenham will have so much momentum. We'll be leading the table, and then we'll have a break for the World Cup, and that'll just look, it's
you've turned into Marlon, but you've turned into Marlon, Brad. You're always so positive. Marlon's been on for an hour, and you're like, we're going to lose everything.
Look, it's. I mean, you can talk about it all you want. It's going to happen, and you know that we just got to hope that we're ready to deal with it. I think also we're going to have a load of players that we won't have many players that suddenly going to have 6 weeks doing nothing. Because most of our players are international, so they will be playing. Of course, you got the fatigue aspect and going from one climate to another climate, because they're going to be going from English winter to bloody hot back to an English winter again. So that will have its disadvantages. But I think we won't have many players at home during 6 weeks not doing anything and maybe losing any momentum that they've gained. But look, I don't like saying this because everyone managing his dog says this, but it is what it is. It's not going to go away. We're going to have to deal with it. The other teams are going to have to deal with it. Let's hope that we can deal with it well and have a good finish to the season. But it's just going to happen. And that's
how many players have we got that are actually going to go to the World Cup? I'm just trying to have a look
Lloris, Kane,
Lloris, Kane. I mean, Bentancur's Uruguayan, isn't he? Did they qualify? Did Denmark? I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Have Denmark qualified for Højbjerg?
Yeah, I think they have. Wales have, so that'll be Davies and
Davis.
Argentina, I think Argentina have, so that's
Romero. We've got enough. We've got enough. Yeah.
Some Korea have obviously qualified, I think.
We've
got a fair amount. Holland, I think, have, but whether we have Bergwijn is
you might have, and I predicted this last season before he got injured, but I said that an outside shot for the England World Cup squad would be Oliver Skip, but then he got injured and he didn't have the season that we all.
And Dyer could easily get drafted in as well, certainly after that performance against Hungary. But I think we'll have a fair amount, and in terms of the burnout, the likelihood is not a huge amount of them are going to be going all the way in the World Cup. There's only 2 teams. We haven't got like we had at the last World Cup with about 5 key players in the England squad who then got through to a semi-final. So I think we've got quite a few out, but only 2, maybe 3 in each squad. But what do you think of how the World Cup's going to affect the season, Ian?
It's so difficult to speculate, isn't it? I mean, in that heat and what have you, the way England played against Hungary, you say, crikey, they'll lose the first 3 matches and come home. That will suit the bill. I mean, you were asking Chris earlier about this World Cup, and I mean, I said it is what it is. I mean, it is an absolute disgrace, an absolute and utter disgrace that a tournament's being played in a country like that at all. No one's ever going to convince me that, a lot of money was paid to a lot of FIFA officials to give it to Qatar. I'm all in favour of, giving it around the world to try and develop the game in other countries. But this has a smack of total and utter corruption about it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think, and it just shows you. I think me and my good lady are on a Caribbean cruise for certainly a couple of weeks of the World Cup. Now, I would never ever have thought of I'm certainly not booking a holiday. I can't watch football during a World Cup, and this one's just totally passed me by. I won't boycott it. I will watch it because you can't not watch it. But by the same token, it's not filling me with any excitement at all.
What's the time difference in Qatar from the UK?
Are they 4 hours ahead or something? I think.
Okay, so
the wonders of Google.
So for the afternoon kick, and there'll be evening kickoffs, I'd imagine, because of the heat. So it might work out that we're watching at sort of 3-4 in the afternoon.
I think a lot of stadiums are indoors. They got roofs so they can close it, and then they
got air conditioning there. I think. Yeah,
so they can pump it through with aircon. But yeah, I mean, let's go on to the transfer rumours. We've obviously talked about the players that we've signed in. Basuma included in that because I think it's probably going to be the case. So we even though I've put him on this, Richarlison, Eriksen, Jesus, and Bastoni. I think Bastoni's kind of gone down the wayside now. I think he said he wants to stay at Inter. Regarding Mora, Renegade Sound asked about him. We've apparently quoted 17 million to Juventus. Juventus are after him. 17 million. Also
70 or 17?
1-7.
Oh, 1-7, right.
Yeah, so, and then all summer so far, there's been Bergwijn wants to leave and been quoted about 30 million maybe to Ajax. So, Ian, we'll start with the players coming in, Richarlison, Eriksen, Jesus. Richarlison, for me, I'm not sure about. Regardless of his quality, I think his attitude wouldn't get on with Conte. I think there'd be clashes there. Jesus, I agree with you. If we were going to get a striker out of Richarlison, Jesus, I'd want Jesus. Not sure he wants to sit on the bench.
I think he's going to
play games. Yeah, but then he will play games. And you've also got this summer, because of that World Cup, players are going to be wanting to play in the World Cup. That's why Bergwijn wants to leave. So you're not necessarily going to be able to convince a player to come and then force your way in, because they want to be playing quickly so they can show what they can do to their international manager. Eriksen, I think we should be signing him. He'll be free. He won't need that much time to bed in, relatively risk-free, and gives us that plan B of a playmaker that Conte doesn't normally use. But Bastoni, bit disappointing. But what I like about the Bastoni is it got quashed. There's no going back to it. You don't see on Twitter anymore about Spurs going in for Bastoni like Adama Traore. It was all of that transfer window. So So who would you, out of the rumours that we've seen so far, Ian? Who would you take?
Right. Well, I would still like Bastoni, although interestingly enough, what I'm reading this morning is that Atletico Madrid are now interested not only in Lo Celso, which I think came out yesterday, but they also want Emerson Royal, and they've got a couple of players. I can see some swap deals going on here. Yeah. So I think that might be interesting. Funnily enough, I fear that, as I said, that. Jesus is going to go to Arsenal, just as I agree for the game time. Right, he's a rotation player at City. I don't think he'll want to come in and be a rotation player.
The same Renegade squad says here. He'd like to keep more in a squad, but World Cup, I imagine Brazil are in it. He'll want to be playing.
And there's mixed messages coming out from Eriksen. On the one hand, he says, I want a new challenge. So a new challenge would suggest it's not going to be Tottenham because he's played for us before, but he wants to play. He wants to play in the Champions League, and he wants to stay in London. So that would suggest he's coming to Tottenham. I've not heard anything
but if all of that is true, if all of those things are true, is it not just keep my options open? No one knows. People have a kind of bidding war in terms of wages anyway, and contract offers for me.
I think Jesus is going to end up at Arsenal, and I think Eriksen's going to Man U. That's my fear. I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm anything but. I mean, I'm as optimistic as I said about this coming season. I think because Inter are apparently after Lukaku, and you go, well, hang on a minute, we keep getting told they need to sell players, and they've just bought another player. I can't remember who it was now, but
the other rumor coming out of there is that Martinez 90 million is what we're going to bid.
Yeah, I've seen that,
but I mean, he was one that we were linked with. In between the Adama Traore saga I keep saying last year, it wasn't, was it? It was January. He'd be a tremendous signing, and that would really give us some impetus going forward, and not just, if Kane's injured, he can play with Kane, you can play without Kane, you can rest Son, you can rest Kulu, you can rest Kane, you can rest him. Very similar to our midfield there, with our four people in midfield with only a few places up for grabs, and really good strength in it.
It's a sign of my age that I've forgotten. I forget names. The lad who went from Fiorentina to Juve last.
Vlahovic.
Yeah. Sorry, Vlahovic.
Yeah.
I thought Vlahovic would have been utterly perfect for us. And you talk about playing alongside Kane and alongside the players we've got. I mean, he would have been absolutely fantastic. But from everything I see, and I don't watch masses of Italian football, I need to watch more, seeing as that seems to be our main scouting market now. But if to get someone like Martinez, I think would be absolutely fantastic. And he is Italian, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he won't be. Yeah. He won't be going to the World Cup.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? Even more depressing that we bloody lost in the Euros to them.
But if Kane came back from the World Cup, or Son came back from the World Cup with an injury or a bit of exhaustion, you think maybe South Korea might not get through. So if South Korea get knocked out early, then Son can get a couple of weeks rest before he has to come back. But you look at somebody like that who can who could come in, and you say, Harry, who? We've never had that situation at all.
That'd be. I mean, there was a time when most teams had two top strikers. I mean, obviously the tactics were different in those days, but I think we had. I think we had four strikers one season.
That was
certainly when we had Keane and Defoe. Did we have Crouch and
Van der Vaart or Pavlyuchenko?
Yeah, but it's funny actually. You mentioned about Emerson Royale, because most of the comments are that they want to sell him, blah blah blah. There's a guy called Ekram Konur.
Yeah,
he's got 194,000 followers, and it's latest transfer news from all over the world. That's what his Twitter handle is. And he's saying an hour ago, Tottenham are not considering sale Brazilian right back Emerson Royale despite interest from Atletico Madrid. Which I found.
Sorry, I need to go for a minute again. I will be back.
That's all right. I mean, one player I have.
I just thought that's quite interesting, because everyone's sort of saying that we're going to sell him, but according to this guy, and of course it's one of many, says that they're not considering selling him. So, which is very, very interesting.
One player I have forgotten about while we're on the subject of right backs, Jed Spence. Not from Forest, Middlesbrough. Derek Hutchinson said get Delicto, and he'd be an unbelievable signing. But yeah, Jed Spence, it's a bit too early. He's had two really good games against Premier League opposition. Not in the Premier League though, again in the Cup.
I tend to.
For me, if we got him, he'd be understudy to either Doherty or Royale or both.
I think he fits the bill of an attacking right wing back, from what I've heard. And you only have to look back to when we signed Kyle Walker. we signed Carl
he fits
Walker
the English quota as well, doesn't he? Which
so I think that
relatively cheap
seems a good signing. So, and Paratici has watched him a few times apparently. So yeah, I'd be pleased with that, because you've got to get him for, well, Spurs will probably offer 17 million, but probably end up paying 20. But yeah, I think he's got potential to be a good player, and he fulfills the home quota. He's like, we're getting a lot of experienced players, but he's another young player, so it sort of balances that out a bit. But yeah, I'd be quite happy if we sign Jed Spence. I mean, I can't think of any other right wing backs, and I'm talking about proper right wing backs that are available. Certainly not ones that are going to come to us. I mean, is it Hakimi? Someone mentioned Hakimi, who's plays for PSG. I mean, that's sort of like a signing that'll be absolutely brilliant, but you can't see that happening. So I can't think of many right wing backs that we can go in for. So I'd be quite happy with Jed Spence, and it looks like that could happen, that he wants to play under Conte and in Champions League. So, although the irony there is that maybe he might not get games in the Champions League, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
But the other players, the Richarlison one came from out of the blue, didn't it? I mean, that came totally from left field. From what I've heard, it's Tottenham. Paratici likes him, but that's it. So, and last week they're talking about we've made an offer of so many millions of pounds for him. Yeah, I know what you said about him being a possible troublemaker, and I'd like to think that this new regime would take that into account, and that we'd stay well clear of him if that was the case. And the other thing is 75 million. Is he worth 75 million? The only thing that could happen is that they're interested in Harry Winks, and maybe Harry Winks could go the other way. So maybe that might be a deal that could happen. But again, he's going to have to be part of a squad. He's not going to bounce into the front three we have at the moment. But I agree with Ian about Jesus as well. I think he's not really want to go from playing on the bench for one team and doing the same with another. But
we got a message from Renegade Sound that he's lost audio. I've just gone on my computer and it seems to be okay. So I can't get on my phone.
I can hear you.
But, hopefully that's not the case. I know it happened on one of Bob's 24-hour stream, didn't it? But I haven't. We'll carry on, and then you just have to listen to the podcast, I'm afraid. But in terms of the rumours, any that you'd particularly like that have come out?
The rumours.
For me, Eriksen. Not because people will say because of the romanticism of it, but. Not for me, because I
think Eriksen's a no-brainer. I mean, he's Premiership ready. He knows Tottenham. He played, from what I've heard, the last part of the season when Inter Milan won the title under Conte, albeit in a slightly different position that he played at Spurs. But I think Eriksen is a no-brainer, and unless he doesn't want to come back to Tottenham because he's got bad memories of his final season. But then again, that was a previous regime. He's got a completely new regime now. So that'd be good.
I think though with Jesus and Eriksen, obviously, there is a point with Jesus with squad player and all that. But if you can convince them they're going to get the same amount of playing time, if it's a choice between Man United, Arsenal, or Tottenham, you choose Tottenham now.
Yeah, and there is
it's completely swapped. So if Eriksen. I mean, the difference is that Man United is such dire straits that if they go for Eriksen, he's playing every single game that his body will allow him. With us, it's probably going to be more of a rotation. But the difference you have with Jesus and Eriksen is very similar to Gareth Bale, Harry Kane. If they don't play a single game from here until November, they get in that World Cup team.
Yeah. I would say with Jesus, and I always say that the Solskjaer factor when he was playing for Manchester United, in that if you're in a squad that are challenging for titles, cups, Champions Leagues, then I think you're quite happy to be in a squad and getting games every now and again. And let's face it, in the European Cup final or Champions League final of whatever it was, 1999, Solskjaer came on and won the game, scored the winner. So, I think that if you're Jesus and you're coming to a team like Tottenham, with Conte as a manager, 60,000 crowd every 2 weeks, and you're in all competitions with a chance of winning them, or hopefully with winning them, then maybe he'll be happy to play, sort of rotate on the bench and that.
Yeah. I mean, Derek Hutchinson has said Eriksen's coming to Spurs, done deal. The other thing with Jesus is being at Man City, he's used to winning things.
Yeah,
which can only be
winner.
a good thing
You're
in
buying
terms
a winner,
of the
aren't you?
mentality of Eriksen does as well, with what he did with Inter Milan. But Jesus, serial winner now in the Premier League with Man City. I think is it 5 in 6 seasons or 4 in 5, something like that. But
Derek, do you have a source for that? Sorry, Chris, I've talked over you this again.
No,
sorry. Derek,
do
you have a source for that? Because I would love to see Eriksen back, although I think.
I think it's more his opinion rather than facts. If you do have a source, chuck it over.
There were things that were going on. I don't like to talk about it on online, but there were things going on at the club with Eriksen. It wasn't just a matter of him downing tools. I think there were things going on in his private life and personal life that my source for it is pretty unimpeachable. So that probably meant he just wanted to get out of the club, and that might put him off coming back. But if he does, new regime and what have you, but Levy, of course, is still there. But if he wants to be back with Conte and he fancies Champions League again, I'd love to see him. But I'd absolutely love to see Eriksen back. He can still play. By God, you can. He's only what is he? 30? He's still only 30. So he's still got 3 or 4 good years left. He looks like, particularly with his heart thing, looks like a lad who looks after himself anyway.
Yeah.
But,
and also, you've also got the Højbjerg factor there as well, playing for Denmark. I
hadn't actually given that thought. Got
a person there that said, it's
really I'd love to have Eriksen back. Obviously, the romanticism. He's free, relatively risk-free in that respect. Gives us something different when these 5 subs are going to be. 5 subs are going to make a huge difference. Teams can completely change their formation and their tactics, but with the 5 subs, which you can't necessarily do with 3. So I think it's he's used to the club. Obviously, the personal reasons. Hopefully, that's
the fans still love him
now. But
fans will still love him.
Yeah, Conte there. He obviously had a good relationship until Kane and Son decided to turn up. It was Eriksen and Kane who were the assists and goals. So, I'd love him to come back, relatively risk-free. And what it does is we get another position that I think we need, and a plan B for no money gives us all of that money, that 150 million, to spend on other things like a striker or another defender that we actually need. And then we kill 2 birds with 1 stone in that respect. But it'd be very interesting to see. I don't think our spending or transfer dealings are done by any stretch of the imagination. And couple of weeks until pre-season. I think that starts on the 1st of July. But Basuma, I think, is massive. Obviously, the allegations there, if they are true, has to go to prison, regardless of whether that's unfair for us or Levy doesn't like it. He has to go to prison. End of story. If they're false, hopefully it then goes away because it's been proved to be false, and then it's not over his head. But what a player! And if he hasn't done any of those allegations and they are false, 35 million, absolute snip for something like that.
He's not been charged with an offence here. You need to be, although
I don't know too much about it. I just know there's allegations. But
I'm just going to make an assumption that we've done our due diligence on this.
There's an Alistair Gold article on football.london where he actually puts in it a statement from Sussex Police. So if anyone wants to, and that's really all you can go on. That's like from the. So go and read that.
Regardless of that, though, Brad and Chris, isn't it wonderful to be talking about Tottenham with this level of positivity?
Oh, yeah. Look, I agree with you. What you said earlier, Ian. I can't remember a season where I've looked forward to it as much and with confidence. That we're going to do something this season. I haven't felt this way. Certainly not since the halcyon days of Pochettino. And even then, the last season with him didn't go too well. We got to Champions League, but the actual league position wasn't that good. But no, I'm feeling very, very confident.
It's 3 different positions as well, isn't it? It's not just back in the day where we had every winger under the sun. And before that, every central midfielder under the sun. We've got a backup goalkeeper, which needed because Galini didn't cut it. We've got Perisic, who I think his age could be an issue, might not be, but he's a winner. So our mentality is something that needs addressing, and he'll be kind of Conte's kind of leader on the pitch, although he won't be captain. Lloris will be. And Basuma, who, like I said, our problem last year with that not able to keep the ball certainly under pressure, he sorts that out. And yeah, Ericsson that we're talking about, Jesus and Richarlison that we're talking about, different positions as well. Jed Spence that we're talking about, other positions. It looks like for the first time in a long while, since the Pochettino days, that we're doing our transfer business based on a plan of how the manager wants to play and what the manager needs in order to play that system, rather than just Ndombele, everyone wants him, let's get him so other people can't get him. And really pleasing to see, and long may it continue. And I think there'll be more coming in. There'll be a few going out, which
if
I like Bergwijn and Mora, but if Conte wants them out and he's bringing other people in, then who am I to argue? And
so we basically look, these aren't done deals, obviously, but if you think, well, if we get Spence in, we get Ericsson in, we still need that left.
Farland has literally just said that. Can honestly say, first time since Poch, felt this excited about us. Absolutely, I think we're all in the same boat there.
We still need that left centre back because we didn't get Bastoni, but we got Paul Torres, and I think Bremer's the other one.
I don't think that's over, Brad. I don't think the Bastoni thing is dead.
No,
I think there's a lot.
I read he wanted to stay at Inter, so if he does, done, dusted, move on to the next.
I think that will. If we're looking at getting players in before pre-season starts in 2 weeks' time, I agree. I think a left centre back will probably be one of the last ones we get in, because I think they might wait see what happens with Inter Milan. But we heard we all know how Paratici works. He gets loads and loads of those players already ready to go, and then he'll go in and get one. So hopefully we've got people like Paul Torres and Brenner sort of sussed out and ready to go, and they might even use someone like Torres as a decoy in a way. But no, I think the left centre back will be one of the last positions that we get in because of the Bastoni situation, and we still need that forward player. I'm not so sure that Richarlison is the answer. I'd say yes to Jesus if he wanted to come to Tottenham, but we still need that extra sort of forward player. Just so we got a bit of flexibility out there, because our front three are very, very good, but you only need one of them to be lost, and then you've got to, on the bench to come in for any one of those three. You've got Mora and Bergwijn. Bergwijn wants to go. Mora, I think, is a squad player. I don't want to see Mora go, but he's not. You wouldn't have him in your first 11.
But they've got to be replaced, haven't they, Brad?
Do you think Harry Winks is off with Basuma coming in?
Yeah, that sounds horrible, but I think
for his own good, he needs to go as well, not just for us.
Yeah,
for his own good and his own career.
He did have a couple of good, decent seasons with Tottenham, but he just hasn't done it recently. So I would like to. For him, I'd like to see him go. We'd like to think that with Lo Celso, we've got a bit of a bargaining chip there, because I think from what I've heard, Villarreal really, really want him. Ndombele, well, take a loss on Ndombele. Just have
to bite the bullet with him, aren't we?
Yeah.
Who wants him though? Leon have said they don't want him, so he's just going to be voting in the reserves. But it'll be a loan deal, I would have thought. Again, get him off the wage bill. But either way, if what you were saying, I think it was you, Brad, that Paratici wanted McKinney, Conte said no, I want Basuma. Conte gets what he wants. He's our manager. That's smart transfer strategy. That's what Klopp's been doing and the owners there at Liverpool. And and then in terms of Basuma, Ryan McFarlane that said apparently it was his mate that did it, as Basuma was part of the group, was why he was arrested and let go. But I agree with the last sentence. No way to still get sanctioned if he was guilty. Hopefully that's the case. But we pretty much reached the end there. Very difficult to kind of go through the fixtures based on we don't know what other teams are going to be doing. It's probably better to do it kind of just before the season starts. But, the fixtures are announced, a big thing. So we have to talk about it. And,
I think we should predict every game, Chris. I think we should predict every game. And all three of us come up with a points total.
Yeah, well, you send me a PDF or a spreadsheet, and I'll stick it on the
Yeah.
but yeah, brilliant having you guys on. Marlon as well, who's part of the Hotspur Hoods. Check
Cheers,
them out,
Chris.
and his own channel as well, View from the South Stand. Although he did say that that's not going to happen until next season, but make sure you subscribe and notification bell on there, so when he does do his next show on there, you're notified. Ian, thanks so much for coming on. No kind of YouTube for you.
Like to, if possible, plug my channel as well.
Oh yeah, coming to you, Brad. Coming to you, Brad.
First
Be patient.
of all,
Be patient.
like
Be patient. But
click like and subscribe to Let's Talk Tottenham.
Yeah.
I have a channel up.
Ian, firstly, before we come to the main event of Brad's channel, Ian, any YouTube channel for you?
No,
appearing on?
Kuva said in the WhatsApp group, I do pay generously to get
I accept
invites
cash,
on-
check, or beer, just to let you
Oh
know.
no,
reasonable rate.
Instant direct transfer always, so that you know you've got the money before having me on. It's become a little private joke between Kuva and I. It's really good.
Yeah.
But on really more important things, England finished at 498 for 4.
Whoa!
One hit away,
Whoa.
which I think is a world record off 50
It
overs.
must be a world record.
Milan was out, and then I didn't say anything because we were all chatting about stuff. But Morgan got a first ball LBW. But Livingston has got 66 not out of 22. Butler finished 162 not out after 70 balls. So, and he was one ball. Chris said, "Hang on a minute, this is a football chat." But he was one more ball than AB de Villiers to be the fastest man to 150, which is the same as Bairstow on Tuesday, where he was one ball behind Jessup to the fastest ever English 100. But there you go, 498. I think Mr. Collison on his stag do has seen something pretty special.
He's done well there, but yeah. And Brad, unfortunately, we're out of time, so I'll plug the channel. Only joking. Only joking.
Sorry about that.
Brad's been on here plenty of times, so you know what his channel's about. It's been long. It's been planned for a little while. It's now live on YouTube. 2 videos on there, I believe. One coming today. Blue Sofa Songs. Make sure you check that out. Just give us a little what it's about. Although,
well, basically, it's me. I've always written lyrics when I was a teenager, but since lockdown happened, I started writing lyrics and started learning how to write music, songs, basically, and learn the guitar. So these are basically the songs I've written in those 2 years. So there's one song up there at the moment. There'll be another one up probably Friday evening. And I'm hoping to put a song on each week because I can't record and put stuff on whilst I'm in Australia. So there'll be a song going up every week. And then that's what I intend to do in the future, put a song up. It'd be basically my work. Brad. Yeah, just, I mean, look, don't pay attention to how poorly I play guitar or how poorly I sing. Just try and listen to the song. And as I say in my introduction, just try and imagine it with a backing band and just listen to the song. And if you like the song, that's really, really great. So yeah, Blue Sofa Songs, Brad Matthews. If you search for that, you'll find it.
Yeah,
please click like and subscribe.
The first song's very good, very catchy. So yeah, looking forward to the next one. Brilliant thing what you're doing as well. Put yourself out there, and yeah, make sure you go check that out. Make sure you go check out Hotspur Hood. I'll be there on Monday, 7:30. Marlon will be there as well. Haas and Tommy as well. There's going to be a Thursday show, I think. There's going to be kind of prime show there. But yeah, Tommy will, I'm sure, let you know on Twitter when that is. But yeah, and check out A View from the South Stand as well, Marlon's other personal channel. And then go over to Blue Sofa Songs and check that out as well. Subscribe to all of them, watch the videos, like them. You know the drill by now. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and all the comments coming in. Please hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done already. We're 11 away from 250, which would be a great milestone, certainly before the start of pre-season. Then we can move on to the next one. If you're listening, watching the replay, please hit the like and the subscribe as well. It really helps the channel. And thanks to everybody who listens to the audio podcast as well. I'll be back on Monday. Not sure what we'll be talking about. That'll be on Tommy's channel, obviously. Not sure what we'll talk about, but we'll find something. This is Tottenham after all, and there's always something to talk about. Yeah. But yeah, long may this transfer activity and acting like a big club and getting ourselves set up for pre-season with Conte in charge. Long may that continue. So until then, Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you
Come on, you
Spurs.
Spurs.
Thank you so much for watching, and to everybody who joined in the live chat. Before you go, please leave a like, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's all free and you'll be notified when we go live. Anyone who missed the live stream can still watch the replay on YouTube, and any comments, questions or suggestions on the comments there. For anyone listening to the audio only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anyone who wants that podcast, you get that wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, go to our Twitter or Instagram page on the screen. We'll be back on Monday on the Hotspur Hood YouTube channel. Give them a subscribe. We're there at 7:30 p.m. UK time. And we're on this channel, Let's Talk Tottenham, 12:30 p.m. UK time again on Fridays.